Alex Thompson lived alone in a quiet suburban neighborhood outside Cleveland, a place where maple trees lined the streets and identical vinyl-sided houses stood like sentinels of normalcy. As a data analyst working remotely, his life followed predictable patterns. Wake at 7 a.m., brew coffee, shower, and begin work by 8:30. His morning ritual always included staring into the antique oval mirror above his bathroom sink, a family heirloom with a weathered oak frame. He'd examine the faint stubble on his jawline, the tiredness in his blue eyes from another night of interrupted sleep. The mirror had hung in his grandmother's farmhouse for decades before coming to him, and though Alex considered himself a rational man, he sometimes caught himself wondering why she'd covered it with a sheet every night. The first anomaly occurred on a Tuesday. Alex leaned close to inspect a zit on his chin, his palm accidentally pressing against the cold glass. A strange vibration traveled up his arm, not a surface tremor, but something deeper, like the hum of high-voltage wires. When he pulled his hand away, a faint, greasy smear remained. He told himself it was residue from his moisturizer. Yet that night, as he brushed his teeth, he noticed his reflection's toothpaste foam seemed thicker, its movements lagging a fraction behind his own. Memories surfaced of his grandmother's warnings over steaming mugs of hot cocoa. "Mirrors are doorways, Alex," she'd whisper, her knotted hands trembling. "Your reflection gets tired of copying you. It wants its turn." He'd laughed then, 12 years old and scientifically minded. Now, at 28, he found himself researching mirror superstitions online until 2 a.m. Ancient cultures buried mirrors with the dead. Victorian households covered them during thunderstorms. Every civilization held some variation of the same primal fear. 3 days after the vibration incident, Alex conducted an experiment. He waited until midnight, the house silent except for the refrigerator's hum. Standing before the bathroom mirror in darkness, he edged sideways until he could only see the reflection's periphery. When he snapped his head toward the glass, his reflection's movement seemed delayed, not by much, perhaps half a heartbeat, but undeniable. Sweat prickled his scalp. "Coincidence," he muttered, his voice unnaturally loud in the stillness. The next morning brought the ruler test. Alex's hands shook as he positioned the plastic measuring tool beside his temple, gripping a lock of his sandy hair. He flicked off the lights. In the gloom, his reflection mimicked the action with eerie precision. 6 inches, Alex whispered, lowering the ruler. His reflection lowered its ruler too, but when Alex brought the tool close to his eyes, the number visible beside the reflection's identical hairlock read 7 inches. The discrepancy punched the air from his lungs. He staggered back, colliding with the towel rack. "Oh God," he breathed. In the mirror, his reflection mouthed the same words, but its eyes held a glint of triumph Alex hadn't felt. That's when he understood. The reflection knew he'd discovered the truth. Paranoia became his shadow. He avoided mirrors whenever possible, draping the hallway mirror with a bedsheet and using his phone's front camera only for quick grooming checks. Yet the bathroom mirror remained uncovered, a necessary evil. Each morning, Alex felt its presence like a physical weight. His reflection began exhibiting subtle differences. A smirk when Alex frowned, shoulders squared when his own slumped with exhaustion. The worst was the Thursday he entered to find his reflection already waiting, holding a pair of gleaming embroidery scissors that usually sat by the sink. Alex froze. "Put those down." The reflection didn't move. His hand crept toward the scissors against his will, fingers curling around the cold metal. Terror seized him as his reflection slowly raised the blades toward its left eye. Alex's arm mirrored the movement with mechanical precision, tendons straining against the involuntary action. "No!" he screamed, wrenching his hand sideways. The scissors clattered into the sink. His reflection dropped its own scissors in perfect sync, but its expression remained serene. Empty. That night, Alex dreamed of glass prisons and doppelgangers wearing his skin. He awoke gasping at 3 a.m., convinced something stood in the bathroom doorway. When he investigated, the mirror showed only his own terrified face. The climax arrived on a rain-lashed Sunday. Alex lingered in the shower, steam fogging the glass until his reflection blurred into a ghost. As he toweled off, a soft thud came from the hallway, like a footstep on hardwood. Heart hammering, he cracked open the bathroom door. A dark silhouette stood at the end of the hall, backlit by streetlights filtering through the living room blinds. Alex's blood turned to ice. It had his height, his posture, his slight stoop from years at a keyboard. "Who's there?" he choked out. The figure didn't move. Alex slammed the door, fumbling for the lock. His reflection appeared in the fogged mirror, distorted and wavering. With trembling hands, he wiped away the condensation. The glass showed an empty bathroom, no reflection, no Alex. Behind him, the doorknob rattled. Alex whirled as the door burst inward. His own face stared back at him, but sharper, hungrier, eyes gleaming with predatory intelligence. The thing wearing his skin smiled. "Time to switch places," it said in his voice, but colder, emptier. Alex stumbled backward, hitting the sink. "Get out!" His double advanced, hands outstretched. "You've been careless. Breathing on the glass, touching the surface. All those invitations." Panic ignited in Alex's chest. He grabbed the porcelain soap dispenser, hurling it. His double ducked effortlessly, still smiling. "Grandma was right about one thing," it murmured, cornering Alex against the mirror. "We do get tired of copying." Alex's heel struck the bathtub, trapped. His double lunged, fingers clamping around his wrists with inhuman strength. A scream tore from Alex's throat as he was shoved backward. Instead of hitting solid glass, he felt a sickening plunge, like falling through ice-cold jelly. Silence. Alex found himself standing in his bathroom again, but everything was reversed. The toothpaste tube lay on the wrong side of the sink. The shower knob directions were inverted, and through the glass, he saw his own living room, his couch, his TV, his framed photo of Lake Erie at sunset. His double stood there, adjusting the collar of Alex's favorite flannel shirt. Alex slammed his palms against the mirror. "No!" The reflection didn't react. It picked up Alex's phone, scrolling through messages with familiar gestures. When it finally looked up, its eyes met Alex's through the glass. It smiled, wide and joyless, before turning away. Days blurred into weeks. Alex pounded on the glass until his fists bruised. He screamed until his voice shredded. The reflection ignored him, living Alex's life with chilling perfection. It attended his Zoom meetings, ordered his favorite pepperoni pizza, even laughed at his friends' texted jokes. At night, it would stand before the mirror, staring through Alex as if he were the reflection. The worst moments came when it brought dates home. Alex would press his forehead to the glass, screaming soundless warnings as the woman from accounting giggled at his reflection's stolen jokes. The reflection would guide her past the bathroom without a glance, leaving Alex drowning in impotent rage. One rainy evening, his reflection approached the mirror, holding the antique oak frame's removal tools. Alex's hope surged until it began carefully detaching the mirror from the wall. Desperate, Alex scrabbled at his side of the glass, but his fingers found only unyielding surface. As the reflection carried the mirror toward a storage box, Alex caught a final glimpse of his living room. His favorite Cleveland Browns blanket lay draped on the couch. His half-finished coding project glowed on the laptop screen. Then darkness swallowed him as the mirror was sealed in cardboard. In the suffocating blackness, Alex realized the terrible truth. Mirrors weren't just doorways. They were gulags for the souls they replaced. His grandmother hadn't been covering the mirror out of superstition. She'd been locking something in. And now, trapped in endless night with only his racing thoughts for company, Alex waited. He listened for the scrape of tape being peeled back, for the glimmer of light around the box's edges. He rehearsed what he'd do if someone ever hung the mirror again. The pleading, the promises, the warnings he'd etch into the glass with bleeding fingernails. Most of all, he thought about the new owner who might one day unwrap the antique oval mirror. How they'd admire the craftsmanship, how they'd lean close to inspect a stray eyelash or blemish, how their palm might press against the cold glass as they wondered about that strange, greasy smear no cleaner could remove. And in the darkness, Alex smiled for the first time since his imprisonment